In this really short video, you will learn everything you need to know to go out and play the black line opening. One of the most deceiving openings there are. Let's start. Alright, so you play this as black, and you can play it against either d4 or e4 because essentially you'll reach a position where white has made both of their pawn advancements to e4 and d4, and you play d6. And you can already see that this seems kind of passive, and it becomes even more passive after knight f6, knight to c3, and now knight to d7, blocking in your bishop, not allowing your queen to move into the game. Also, your bishop is still blocked into this kind of mountain of pawns, and so you seem to have a very passive position. But this is where this opening becomes so deceiving, because very quickly you're going to be able to launch a massive attack on this king, because you're typically not going to castle, and I'll show you how this plays out. So typically they'll play knight to f3, developing their knight, and now you already play e5. They probably will not take, because if they take, you reach essentially a pretty equal position. Your bishop can come out more freely now. I mean, this bishop will eventually be able to move. You both have the same amount of control in the center. This is basically an equal position, and usually white doesn't want to allow you to have an equal position. And so often they'll simply develop their bishop and try to gain a quick attack. Here, you kind of have to play bishop to e7, otherwise they're going to move their knight here, and it's going to be a lot harder to stop this attack. So with bishop e7, if they try to attack you quickly, you can castle. This is kind of the only position where you'd want to castle, because they have a pretty important attack that you have to tend to. Otherwise, you're going to keep your king in the center. And so after bishop to e7, let's say they castle instead, now you can play the move c6, waiting on castling, and instead playing a very important and typical move in these sort of positions. And this is one move that you really should remember to play, because it is really multi-purpose. First, you're getting ready to launch some sort of queenside attack with being able to fianchetto your bishop. Also, your queen can come onto c7, where not only is it out of its center square and it could maybe connect the rooks in the future, but also very importantly, it's aimed at the king, and you'll see how this comes into play later. And then finally, you're also just controlling more of the center and making moves like d5 a lot harder, because not only might you be able to win a pawn, but also in some cases you can simply play c5 and lock the position on the queen side, because you're going to attack on the king side, so it's actually good for you to lock the position on the queen side. Okay, so they'll probably just play a4 here. I mean, they could develop their bishop. For the most part, they're going to just try to attack you on your queen side. In which case, you're simply going to move out your queen to c7. Now they might develop their bishop, and now you play h6. You don't castle, and now the reason of h6 is you're stopping this attack, so now you're kind of committing to not castling anymore, although you still could if you wanted to, but there's not going to be an important reason for you to castle. Also, you're getting ready to launch a very important attack, and this is where you're transitioning from a more passive position to a very aggressive one. So here they probably are going to play h3. They could simply to, stop your knight from jumping in and getting a very nice position here. But h3 is actually a very good move for you, because you can use this pawn as a hook, because it's sticking out and you can try to attack it. And so g5 here, simply going for g4. They'll probably move their knight out in a position like this to control the square a bit more, making g4 a lot harder, but now you have a secondary idea with this knight. You don't just want to develop it, you actually typically are going to do this knight maneuver to f8, unleashing your bishop, preparing g4, but also getting ready to put your knight onto g6. And the reason that you probably want to put your knight onto g6 before playing g4 is now after g4, they can't go h4 because you can take that pawn. And so now they kind of have to open up this file, either allow you to take and open up the file, or take themselves, and by doing so, open up this file a little bit more. And in this position, I mean, just visually, even though the engine might not agree that this is so winning for you, I mean, this is probably an equal position in terms of the engine. When it comes to a human in a practical game playing this position, it seems so much more easy for black to play, because of a couple of reasons. You have so many ideas. You're going to get your rook onto this g file, aiming at the king. You can run this pawn up and try to use this pawn to attack this pawn, and make some progress here, your queen often will open up with moves such as these, both of which are forcing. So for example, d5, the bishop moves, and then this move to open up the queen and actually threaten checkmate. This bishop, both of your bishops actually are active and have a lot of mobility. And if your queen cannot enter via this diagonal, it has many ways to reroute itself over here towards the king side. And so clearly you have a very easy time to attack. Also, it helps that white's king is on the king side, which is the side you're attacking. For white, they're attacking on the queen side typically, because it's very hard to attack on the king side because you have a very aggressive position here. And in the center of the board where your king is, you always have the ability, again, to have just a lot of control there. All your pieces are aimed at the center as well as the king side. And so really the queen side is probably their best side of the board in a position like this, but you have nothing important here. You don't have a king on b8, and so their attack is going to be a lot less strong than yours. I'm pretty sure that's basically all that I wanted to cover in this video. I gave you some of the important ideas that you need to know, so hopefully now you know how to play this opening a bit more successfully. Let me know if you have any more ideas for videos that you want to see. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.